Hey, what's up, guys? And Happy New Year. It is tail end of 2020 here. We're still living in the past, but I know a lot of you guys are, depending on what time zone and where you are in the world, you're already in 2021. And if so, Happy New Year. If you're watching the replay of this live stream, Happy New Year as well. This has been a crazy year here in 2020. Obviously, there's COVID. That's the big thing, coronavirus pandemic. All that kind of stuff. And that's definitely affected things. And so I kind of want to just do a quick sort of recap of how things went in 2020. I'll talk about radar detectors. I'll talk about things even here on YouTube, how it affected me too. And I also want to kind of talk about, now that 2020 is pretty much done, what kind of things do we have to look forward to here for 2021? There's a number of new detectors that I know are going to be coming out. I want to make some changes here on my channel. And just kind of basically talking about all that. And I'd also like to hear from you guys, kind of what's going on with you guys. What are you looking forward to for 2021? Whether it's radar detectors, if it's dash cams, laser jammers, or even just something in your personal life. So yeah, I just hope you guys are doing well, staying healthy, physical health, mental health, emotional health, all these things. I know they've been really big. So hope you guys great holidays, Happy New Year, and let's go ahead and just get right into things. So starting off with, I guess, 2020, to sort of recap this year, there's obviously been the pandemic, and that's affected a ton of stuff. We had a lot of delays from radar detectors that were going to come out. Ones that did come out had supply chain issues for getting parts, so a lot of things were out of stock. I mean, we had, I know Thea was the big thing. I know, Bob, you're talking about that in the chat as well. Yeah, that was a big thing. That was supposed to come out in 2020, and I know Redenso did a video on it pretty recently saying, yeah, it got delayed. They just weren't able to source all the parts and everything to build Thea and get it out the way that they wanted, despite their best efforts. So that was an issue. I mean, and I've seen similar issues with even other companies who have released detectors. We had the Redline 360C, which was on back order a ton. I looked earlier just before shooting this video. It's still on back order right now. They kind of like get some more in, ship it out, then it goes on back order again. Valentine with the V1 Gen 2, I was on back order in and out. They've had issues with their trade-ins to get the new magnesium cases. That was the issue with their stuff. To get those in to be able to ship out trade-in detectors. And so people are trying to sell their detectors themselves or on eBay or whatever and just buy a new one directly, because sometimes that's easier than going through the trade-in process. I know there's been delays for Uniden. They had their Uniden R7. That auto lockouts has been in the works for a while. There's patent issues which eventually got settled, and issues with Uniden actually getting the auto lockout stuff executed and available. I guess one nice thing is there was an issue with Big Sur on Mac. Not OS X, but now OS 11 came out. It broke the Uniden driver, and so you can no longer update your Uniden detectors on Mac, but there's an update that just recently came out. It's on the forums and stuff. I'll talk about it in a future video. But if you're in that issue, yes, you can now update on Big Sur. So they've had to release a new driver for, I think, the Silicon Labs USB connection or something. So crazy stuff, just things having to get updated. I know there's the Uniden R9, which we've talked about in the past. Uniden's upcoming custom installed radar detector and laser jammer. That's gotten pushed back due to COVID. I mean, there's just a ton of crazy stuff this year. It's affected me and my channel. I've had to take a break for the past couple months. Things have been kind of just overwhelming and stressful. And just for myself, I've had to take a break. And I kind of want to talk about that a little bit too. And so I'm starting to get back into things. And I think for 2021, the biggest thing that I'm hoping for is just kind of getting back to normal. Detectors that we've been waiting on for a while get released. You know, detectors that are already available are available more regularly as supply chains start picking back up. People are, back in their offices. I know some of the radar detector companies have had people who've tested positive for COVID. It's luckily we've been okay here, knock on wood. Hopefully you guys are doing all right too. So it's just been crazy. So honestly, my biggest wish is like that things kind of get back to normal as fast as possible. I feel like the last year, 2020 has just sort of dashed my expectations on a lot of things, and who knows what can happen, So I definitely don't have a crystal ball. I do know of some new radar detectors that are going to be coming out for 2021 that I haven't even talked about yet. But again, who knows what can happen, especially seeing what happened in 2020. So we'll have to wait and see kind of as things start to get back up to speed, people start getting vaccinated, whenever that kind of really starts to ramp up. And there's just a lot of question marks right now, but that's really my biggest wish. And then as far as the YouTube channel, I've been noticing that I want to make some changes here. As you guys probably noticed, I've been taking a break for the past few months. I've almost all but stopped making videos. I do have a couple here and there, like my giveaway that's running for a few more days. I did a video about that, and just a few little things here and there. got a link in the video description to the giveaway if you guys haven't entered yet. So just a few things like that. But for the most part, I've honestly just been pretty overwhelmed and having to pull back and kind of take a break from my own mental health. And I think I kind of wanted to, like, I'm having to adjust some things because a lot of the ways that I've been doing certain things haven't been working. What I've been finding, kind of the reason I've been pretty burned out lately, I've just kind of gotten overwhelmed with trying to do so much and having very little energy and time and ability. And it's just been too much. One of the big things I've seen is like video editing takes a lot of time. I know the VFO A119 V3, that dash cam review video, after I'd already spent a ton of time testing it out and starting to collect footage and everything, shooting and then editing that video took a full 2 weeks. 2 weeks to get that video up online. And that means stopping all my radar detector stuff, everything else, and focusing just on editing one dash cam video. And I'm like, man, I've got so many things that I still want to edit. I've got radar detectors on my shelf over here and dash cams that I've been meaning to cover. I've got radar guns that I'd love to do videos on, but like this stuff takes so much time. And so I've actually recently brought on a video editor that I'm training. And hopefully she can do a good job. You know, we kind of, I make sure that I can do a good job of telling her what I need, and she can kind of match my style with what I'm looking for, because editing video takes so much time. And I literally just upgraded my internet to unlimited data. So now I can upload gigs and gigs and gigs of data, video clips, you know, and then all the B-roll and everything. So we're going through the training process for that now. I really hope it works, and I hope she does a good job, and I'm happy with the results. I noticed the first couple videos that I've done, I'm having to spend a fair amount of time like telling her what I want. And I'm like, is it going to take me more time to, I guess at the beginning, it's going to take me time to sort of train the person. But in the end, I think long-term it's going to be good. And yeah, I mean, you look at the people who are like, they can edit a video in a day. And I mean, that's kind of what I want to get to. Like, I love testing and reviewing and doing all the comparisons and stuff and presenting all the information. But editing is, I can do it and it's fine. But man, I kind of want to get a move on. I just can't get it done faster. And so I'm like, all right, time to start maybe bringing somebody on board. And I guess with the pandemic, I'm able to start doing it remotely. Kind of having forced to do it that way versus maybe getting an office or bringing somebody to my house here or something. So I've been getting that. Another big thing that I've been finding lately is I haven't been that great at like saying, what do I want to focus on? And then setting specific boundaries on things that are just not good for me to do. A big one that I've been finding is kind of like being tech support for people. You know, I love countermeasures and radar detectors and dash cams, and I spend a lot of time, you know, messing with this kind of stuff. And I learn a lot about it. And I want to take everything that I learned and just give it to all of you guys. Like, here's everything I know. Here's everything that I learned. Here you go. One thing that I've been finding is like, I run into issues a lot of times, problems or something doesn't work right. And like, it happens to me. I know it happens to you guys too. And when you run into situations where you have an issue, I really want you guys to have an awesome experience. I want you to understand your tech, and I want it to work well. Like, that's literally the whole point of the channel. And when you guys have issues, if I take it upon myself to try to do tech support, that becomes quickly overwhelming. You know, if it's one or two things here and there, not a big deal. But as the channel grows and it becomes, you know, a few dozen people, and then 50 people, and 100 people, and then 500 people, and 1,000 people, and on and on and on, that's way too much for one person to handle, being tech support for thousands of people for every radar detector and every dash cam, when you have companies who have literally teams of people who are sitting there paid to help answer questions for just one product line. I can't compete with like teams of people for all this kind of stuff and have time to do all my testing and my videos and spend time with my family and relax when I need it. Like, it just becomes way too much. And I get overwhelmed, and I'm like, I'm trying to help do all this kind of stuff, but it's just too much for me. And so I'm like, okay, I don't want to leave you guys hanging and be in a position where I'm like, I'm going to test something and review it, and here's something awesome, and you buy it and you're like, this is great, but now I'm having these issues. Vortex, why don't you help me out? I bought something you recommended, but now I'm having all these issues. Why can't you help me? And I'm like, that's one of my biggest fears. I don't want to be the type of person who's recommending something and you have a bunch of issues with it, you know? And so I'm like, okay, let's help you out with it afterwards too. But I just don't have the bandwidth for all that. So I'm thinking, what's a way that I can make sure that you guys are taken care of while also making sure I can be good to myself and take care of myself, and also kind of watch my own mental health, you know? And what I'm finding is, if you need tech support for something, I don't think I'm going to be the best person for that. Yes, I can answer some questions, not everything. I could do some, but I think the best way to go about this is a way that's going to be good for me and good for you guys is If you have an issue for tech support, ask the manufacturer. They have a lot of people who can help specifically for that. I know not everybody wants to go that route, or you want a faster response or something. The other thing that I think is really the best way is, I've said it a million times, head over to the forum. I participate there all the time. I know a lot of other enthusiasts just like myself, and a lot of you guys here on the forum or here on YouTube, you guys are there as well. And that's such a great resource where if you guys have an issue, a lot of times you ask awesome questions. And I'm like, that's a great topic for discussion. Why don't we talk about it there in a public area so that everybody can participate and learn and benefit? And chances are a question that you have may already be answered. And if not, you get a chance to do something kind of similar to where I do. We're like, let's take some good discussion and make it available publicly for anybody else who's maybe also wondering something similar. And so just trying to make all of this stuff available for everybody. It's like, that's one of the reasons I got into making videos, is instead of answering the same questions privately over and over and over, let me just take the time to answer it really well once. I can do it as a video, I can do it as an article, I can do it whatever, but let's answer the question, make it available for everybody, and then I don't have to keep answering the same thing over and over. And I find the same thing when you guys have questions. Instead of messaging me privately on Facebook or Twitter or email or even PMing me on the forums, ask publicly in a way that we can all participate and discuss. It's going to benefit so many people. It benefits you guys, where you get answers not only from me, but also everybody else who might even be able to answer something better than I can. Because let's say they live in an area where you drive, and they can give you better locally specific answers than something I can, you know? So like, I'm always trying to say, let's all work together in a way where this works for everybody, myself included. And I kind of go that route. And then I'm like, okay, somebody asked me a question. Let me just answer it real quick. And then I'll do another one and another one and another one. And then it just kind of, it snowballs. And then I get overwhelmed again. And so I'm like, okay, I just want to make sure if you guys need something, ask the manufacturers for their tech support, or head over to the forums. That's going to be a great resource. And let's talk about it in a public way. There's nothing, I guess, special about the forums other than it's just a great place for a lot of people to come together and discuss. Even a lot of times better than YouTube comments. Like, comments here in the videos are great for just a quick thing here or there, but to really get into discussion, I think having a nice central place like a forum is a great way to do that. So I think for tech support stuff, that's going to be the best way to go. And so I'm like, okay, so that's good. And I think a lot of the stuff for myself is finding what things do I most enjoy? How can I best take what I love and give it to you guys in a way that's also healthy for me? And I can stay happy and like super into this and full of energy and excitement and give all of that to you guys without getting burned out. And I think that's going to be something super important, to where I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to outsource tech support stuff, head to the forums, or like editing, getting that going on, or just bringing on other people to help me with stuff. I'm at the point now where, yeah, Clint, you're saying challenges you're describing are a sign of having a successful business and loving what you do. It sounds like you've been figuring out the necessary modifications for sustainable growth. I feel like I haven't been listening to myself as well as I could, because I know I did a video a little while ago about being burned out, and here I go again. Probably similar stuff, a little bit different, but I'm like, hey, you know, at this point, I gotta sort of take things off my plate and narrow down onto just the things that I want, so I can kind of get through my list of like, I want to review these detectors. I've still got stuff in my car I need to do reviews on. Dash cams I've been meaning to do reviews on. I get all these requests all the time of like, hey, Vortex, we saw your video. We sell this dash cam. Could you review it? And I'm like, no, I would love to review everything, but it takes so much time. So I think a big thing at this point is, yeah, automating things, outsourcing when needed, and kind of focusing my time to really speed up my testing and reviewing and editing that gets outsourced, just to get this stuff out and out there. So yeah, it can't be a one-man army. I look at other channels, MKBHD, one of my favorite ones, like once you start growing, you got to have other people. And I'm really grateful to everybody who's been a part of the testing, the guys in Texas, the guys in Canada, the guys in New York, a lot of the people who were like, let me take some initiative and test and learn myself and share all the results. Like, this is something to where the more people we have taking the initiative to contribute, the better this is for all of us. And so that's really, really a big deal. And I'm really grateful to all the testers, everybody who's learning. I'm a huge advocate for that. Even it's like, I got my tests, but we learn more if we have a lot of different tests with different people, different terrains, different detectors. What if I make a mistake? What if I have a copy of a detector that's not as sensitive as the others? Like, we need a lot of sample data to really get a good sense of the big picture. Some guys like testing laser. Some like testing long range radar on axis, off axis. Some guys test quick trigger. Some test X-band stuff. Some test multi-radar or GATSO or Red Flex. Like, I don't even have a lot of those things here in my area, so I can't test them. So a lot of this really comes down to people working together. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who's been a part of testing, people who've been part of contributing, and even people who are just super passionate about this and being part of watching my videos or hanging out here in the chat or giving suggestions or even just hanging out quietly. Thank you. It's really nice to have a good group of people here who are all super excited and happy. And I'm just really grateful for that. I'm really grateful for you guys. And yeah, I don't know. I've just kind of been wanting to talk about this for a while and kind of get it off my chest a little bit and say thank you and share some of my struggles and some of the things that I've been kind of experiencing. So I guess things that I'm looking for to kind of bring it back here. I'm reading the chat here as you guys talk. Family comes first, then expand to the job. That's a big thing. It's like, okay, simplifying things so that I can really focus on the things that I'm best at and things that I most enjoy, and kind of offloading things that are just too much for me or I'm not good at or I don't like in the first place. Like, if I'm going to keep doing this long term, I got to make sure this is sustainable and healthy and I can keep working at my best. And that's just something I've been really finding. So I've been having to make some tweaks in that regard. Yeah, even things, I got the battery there, the black box my car BI 750 battery pack. I'm about to send that back to them. I've been having some issues with charging it. I've been meaning to do a review of that, but I'm running across some issues. So I need to send that back, get a replacement one after the new year, and then do the review. So it's constantly a lot of stuff. But I guess that's fun to always have new things to work on. And I'm looking forward to 2021 having new detectors coming out. It sounds like there may be a little bit of a delay for some things like Thea. I'm like, okay, that gives me a chance to work on some things. I've got the Cobra Road Scout up there I've been meaning to do a review on. I've got the battery pack. I've got a couple dash cams on the shelf. Think we're U1000. I did a video comparison of the different VFO A129 dash cams, the regular, the Plus, and the Pro. I did that as an article on my website just because articles are so much quicker to do. You do the testing and get all the information and, some photos, video clips, and information. Videos take a lot longer to shoot and edit. So a lot of times I'm like, hey, maybe I can just do an article, and that's better than giving nothing. So I can get the article up online. And I think moving forward, I want to get a combination of both videos and articles. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes when I'm watching reviews, sometimes I prefer watching a video of something. Sometimes I just want to read over an article instead for a variety of reasons. And so I like having both of them available, and they each have their advantages. And so, yeah, I want to definitely focus on more articles. They have a lot of advantages over the YouTube. A lot of times YouTube is better too. So, yeah. Wow. Okay. So I guess coming back to kind of getting into now some of the questions and stuff here in the chat. Thanks to all of you guys here for all your support and your well wishes and all the Happy New Year's. And I hope you guys are doing awesome and your friends are taken care of and your family's healthy and you guys are enjoying yourselves. And it's going to be a big thing. This year's been stressful enough. So I'm just, enjoying 2021, doing things that are healthy, being kind and respectful to people. This has been hard enough. And so just being nice to people, I think, is a big thing too. So, all right. With that said, that's what I had to say. Let's get into the chat and let's start doing Q&As. Let's talk about radar detectors. Let's talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. So, Fuzzbuster, that's an old detector. Yeah. Do I have one on the shelf? I think I've got them in one of the drawers there, one of the Fuzzbusters. I think Fuzzbuster 2 or something. But yeah, that's an old detector. Is it X and I think K-band maybe for the Fuzzbuster 2? That's another project. I've got some old detectors that could be fun to test with. That could be a lot of fun. It's just on my huge list of stuff to do. Love you too, Dwight. Yeah, and all you guys. Love you guys. Thanks for being a part of this.
Sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
Stop talking to this. That was my Siri responding for some reason. Love Fuzzbuster. Any new Blackview cameras coming out next year or this year? I don't think so. They just released a bunch of dash cams. I've got a video that I shot with Alex from Black Box My Car. We did 3 videos, best dash cams, best dash cam accessories, and we actually went over the entire lineup of Blackview dash cams. That I kind of wanted to get all the stuff shot and get the B-roll shot. 2 of them I'm going to send over to the video editor. 1 I'll do myself. So as far as new Blackviews, there's the DR900X, DR750 LTE. I've got them up on the shelf up there. I can grab them real quick. So while we're talking about that, their 4K one, DR900X, and then their LTE one, DR750 LTE. I actually just got the blend mount in for this as well. It's sitting outside, just came in the other day. So anyway, yeah, these are the new ones. I would be surprised to see something new, but who knows? You know, I definitely don't have a crystal ball. I don't have any additional information on that, but yeah, I think that's the Blackview stuff. So I'm still planning on editing and getting that video posted, but I haven't gotten to that one yet. Bad Echo. I've heard a lot of bad reviews for the dash cam for Escort. Yeah, that's an interesting one. So, excuse me, I haven't done my video of that, but I have an article review that I just did fairly recently, part of my like overwhelmed with videos, but I still want content up. On my website, I've got a review video up online for the Escort M1. Overall, it's kind of a subpar dash cam. I've got one over here somewhere. Where is it? Oh, here's one. Okay. So the dash cam, it's $200, 1080p dash cam. And feature-wise, I mean, there's no parking mode, which kind of makes sense. It runs driving mode only. A119 V3, way more features, better quality, a better dash cam. This really, the only appeal of it in my eyes is if you want something that integrates with your radar detector, one mount, one power cable, kind of one self-contained package like this, cool. A little overpriced, I think, but you're kind of paying for the convenience here of getting a kind of all-in-one solution. I like it as a travel set to where I can grab my Max 360C or Redline 360C or something. I toss it onto the mount, toss it on here, and I have my radar detector dash cam combo, one power cable, one mount. That's kind of convenient, but I don't know. You're really paying for convenience. There's better dash cams that are out there. It's just, yeah, hopefully Escort comes out with other things. Like I'm about to do a video talking about the best laser jammers. I just finished that video last night at like 12:30 last night. I got it posted. I've actually shared it early with my Patreon supporters. So Patreon guys, you can check over there and go ahead and watch the video. I'm probably gonna be publishing that video in the next day or two publicly, but you can check it out early there. And we talk a little bit about kind of things like this, how the Escort M1, if you have it with your Escort radar detector, it's gonna block communication for the Escort laser jammer. So this is not compatible with Escort's laser jammers, which is the weirdest thing. So hopefully for the new version, they fix that. They come out with like an M2 or something. So weird things like that. But as a dash cam, I mean, it's fine. 1080p video quality, it's okay. It's not great, but I mean, it does the job. You get some vibrations and stuff here from the mount, but it's okay. So anyway, that's my thoughts on the M1. If you want the full review, just head over to my website and you'll find it. Scroll down a little bit. You'll see the M1 review. Let's see. David, my radar detector wouldn't stop beeping. Now I'm here and the radar is silent. Awesome. Hopefully that's because you changed some settings and kind of optimized it. So that's nice. 60 Impala. Any repeat calls to Rocky Mountain Radar for 2021 scheduled? That could be fun. I think now, like, so I did the video years ago. I would assume now they probably know my voice. So if I try to call in, they're going to know that it's me. No schedule, but that could be fun. I talk about that actually in my laser jammer video too. Talk about the judge and how, no. The Cobra, the Next Space 622, much better choice. Interesting. So that, I just recently reviewed that as well. Also article, not a video yet. That's one of the most creative dash cams I've seen with like the image stabilization, 4K recording, Alexa integration. It can call an ambulance for you in case of an accident, potentially save your life. Like there's some really cool stuff there. It also has some reliability issues I found in my testing. Some of the Alexa stuff doesn't, got to make sure the app is connected. Just the parking mode kind of sucks with it. So it's got some really cool stuff, but I feel like some of the fundamentals weren't quite nailed. I talked to Nextbase about it, like some of the memory card corruption issues. They said maybe try a different memory card. They think it was a bad card. Things getting corrupted. I don't know, even though it was one of their memory cards. But that's definitely a cool dash cam, and that's interesting. I love dash cams that do something more than just you put it on your windshield and it records when you drive. Great. Like I want something that's got, maybe a creative mount or has LTE built in or can connect to Alexa or call an ambulance for you. Like it's nice having something kind of cool and different, not just one of the other 10,000 dash cams that somebody's importing from China and it just records and yay. Like that's fine. Don't get me wrong, but I always liked having something new. So the Next Base I think is cool in that regard. 622. Mine's, I think, just in the closet back there. But let's see. Kevin asking, what cities are radar detectors against the law? In the U.S., it's just Virginia and Washington, D.C. Everywhere else, they're legal. There are some exceptions like military bases, commercial vehicles, semis, things like that. But for the most part, they're legal across the country. In Canada, they're banned in most places. BC, Alberta, and Saskatchewan are the only places they're allowed. I know in like Ontario, they'll actually confiscate your detector. I think Prince Edward Island, I read something recently, they're doing that too. They don't confiscate here in the US. If you get caught with one in Virginia, for example, the fine is like less than $100. They write down the serial number of your detector and they give it back to you. They had issues with confiscating and then returning, and it was a big headache. So minimal fine, no confiscation. So it's not a big deal. But that's kind of how things work there. I know Australia just recently banned, was it Western Australia, that they were still legal, but just recently they banned it there as well. So now they're banned nationwide. So laws vary everywhere, but that's kind of how that stands. Europe, the penalties are a lot stiffer in the places where it's banned. Kevin, banned in Australia, 100% everywhere. Totally. Let's see. Turntable thoughts. I got to win the giveaway this year. If I win the R7, I'm selling my R3 for $100. Good luck. Yeah, I hope you win. I figured this year I really, really want RDF members to win, and so I'm going to guarantee that at least one person from RDF wins. There's like a secret code that you can go to. If you're an RDF member, you'll get access to that secret code, and I'm going to make sure that at least one person from RDF wins, and I want to give that RDF member actually a choice of like whatever product you want is giveaway. Any radar detector, any dash cam in that lineup, you pick what you want, you get first dibs. Everybody else is going to be kind of randomly assigned. So I just want to do like some extra stuff for RDF members. So yes, that's going to be there. Just remember to do my daily entry for the contest. Yeah, totally. And if you share it, that also helps too with getting additional entries. So that's a nice bonus thing. Judgment Day. These radar companies should pay you for all your help and knowledge of their item when you drop or talk about it. Do they send you stuff for free, like promotional stuff? That's an interesting one. So that's actually really been a big thing for me, is I never want to get in a position where companies are sponsoring my reviews. Like the most that I'll do is maybe they'll provide something for free, some company, and then I'll send it out to you guys for a giveaway. But that's as far as I go. I don't do anything where companies pay me to review a product. I don't do sponsored things. I'm like, what I say in a review is exactly what I think, and I have no financial requirements or anything. Like, I'm going to tell you what I think, good and bad. I don't want to be paid from a company for that. Like, the most I have is if you want to buy it and you go to a place like Amazon or wherever, I do make a percentage. And that's kind of nice to where like, hey, that's a way for me to just test stuff and I can continue to be supported. It doesn't cost you anything. And it's a way that I can test stuff and continue doing this, which is great. There's stuff that I review that I don't necessarily make any money off of. The V1 Gen 2, the Escort Max CI 360 that I think are great detectors. I'm going to recommend them anyway, regardless of if I get paid. But it's definitely nice to be able to do this in a way where I can make a living doing this, because this is a full-time thing. And financially, I also want it to be a full paid thing. And that's also kind of where the Patreon stuff kicks into play, because like I don't want to be a salesman just recommending stuff for you to buy. Like I like the Patreon because you guys are able to support me and find things that are helpful. I give you guys some extra perks there. I've been kind of falling behind with the Patreon stuff, especially lately, just being overwhelmed. So I'm like, all right, let's make sure that's going well. The YouTube video ads, I get a little bit of money, not a ton, but I get some from that too. And it's nice. It's just a way to like be able to make a living doing this and without being paid by companies to like say good things about them. So I don't represent any company. I do have affiliate stuff set up with them. So like if you go to Escort's website or Redenso's website or AOP's website or TMG and that kind of stuff, like a bunch of companies, they do their own affiliate stuff, a lot like Amazon. But that's as far as that goes. Companies, they do send me stuff for free sometimes and I get to keep it. Sometimes I forget what people send to me for free. It doesn't really, at first it was like, oh my gosh, people send me stuff for free. This is awesome. And after a while, I'm like, well, that's cool. But if I'm going to devote weeks and weeks and weeks to testing something, I definitely put a lot into this. And so whether they send it to me for free or not, like I'm going to tell you exactly what I think. Getting stuff for free is awesome, especially when you're starting to review a lot of stuff. I don't make a ton of money at this yet. I'm definitely continuing to grow it and all. I don't have like 1 million subscribers here or anything. But it's definitely nice just to help me cover more stuff because it gets really expensive trying to buy everything. I would love to do that eventually, to kind of cut out that this company sent it to me for free. But for me, it doesn't really matter. I even forget sometimes if they send it to me for free or not. but it's cool. So anyway, that's the free stuff. Tashmu Productions, been trying to sign up for RDF and I get a forbidden prompt. Maybe there's some issues with spam prevention. I don't know how that stuff works. You can always, try to reach out to them, but I don't know how that stuff works. So hopefully you're able to get logged in and all, because it's awesome. The Chad, what are your favorite things to review? I like stuff that's kind of different and new and awesome. I like to review some of the best things. So the best dash cams, the best radar detectors, the best whatever. I don't really like to focus on the low end stuff. I mean, it's fine. Usually they kind of suck. Like, I like to review the awesome stuff because that's what I'm excited about. That's what I like to run and I find most interesting. They have the coolest features and the best performance and the best capabilities. I know not everybody wants to spend $600 on a detector or whatever, and I totally get that. So I like to focus on DFR7 and stuff, maybe some of the best inexpensive stuff, but I like to focus on really some of the best stuff. That's what I enjoy. That's where I like to go. Dash cams are fun, and as I mentioned earlier, I like the ones that have kind of cool creative features, not just a box you stick on the windshield and it records, but like, give me something interesting to talk about. New dash cams that are do something different and new. That's, I think, one of the reasons I'm excited about Thea is like, that's a legitimately big advance. I hope it lives up to expectations, but that's not just another box that maybe has GPS or Wi-Fi or a little bit better BSM filtering. Like, that's a legitimately big jump, which is what makes it interesting. So that's the kind of stuff that I like. Just keep this fresh, Let's see. Kevin, better marketing for you would be to smash things if you can get 100,000 to 200,000 subs. Bet they're all the same. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't really focus on the subs stuff too much. I know that people like super focused on the algorithm and, all that kind of stuff. How many subscribers? You're like, I just want to be happy. As long as I'm doing this way that's healthy, I'm getting to test new stuff and share it with you guys. I'm just as happy if I got 76,000 now. I'm just as happy as when I had 10,000 subscribers or 500 subscribers. For me, like, the fun is the learning and the testing and the sharing. And obviously I want to be able to help more people. And so having more subscribers allows me to help more people. That's cool. It also helps business-wise. So that's great. But my fun is in the creation and in the learning and the sharing. And so the subscribers, I know it's always a big goal for YouTubers to hit so many subscribers, and that's great. And I love having you guys all on here. I mean, it's more people who are super excited to talk with. That's great. But otherwise, I don't know, hitting those subscribers isn't really a huge deal for me, I guess. Maybe I'm weird in that way. I don't know. Dude Man Bro, any thoughts on the BI 750 dash cam battery compared to the others? Yes. So I haven't done the review yet, but here's the short version. Let me grab it real quick. So in my car, I've got the Blackview ones and the CellLink ones. The short version of this, it's thinner, it's longer, so it's designed better to fit under seats, which is nice, but I can't actually replace my batteries with this because I have them stacked vertically and it's a little bit too tall and it sticks out. But basically, larger capacity, it's 7,500 milliamp hours as opposed to 6,000. So 25% longer record times. I did a bunch of testing. I've posted some of the results on the Dashcam Talk forum already. There's some great people there. 25% longer record times than the Blackview, the CellLink Neo batteries. And also faster recharging speeds, kind of. I've been having some issues getting that working well, which is actually the reason I'm going to be sending it back and getting a replacement. But basically, those ones can draw 9 amps of power max. This can draw up to 12 amps of power. It supports not just one, but 2 power inputs simultaneously. So you can tap it into like maybe not just one fuse, but 2, both of them pulling 6 amps. I've been running into a couple issues getting that working reliably and getting 6 amp per fuse instead of 4 or 5. So I'm going to be sending it back. And I've also been seeing some things like this cover here over the ports. It peels off really easily, especially because these tolerances on the cables are really tight. So I put the cable in and then I pull it out when testing, and then this cover pops off. I've been trying to get it back in place or something, but for something that's kind of expensive, I don't want it really popping off. But little minor thing that you won't really notice much. You just plug it in, it works. Anyway, as long as I can get it to charge fast, reliably, I think it would be the best battery pack that's available there. I've been running into that pretty recently. I don't know if I talked about it in my dash cam review video stuff because I was kind of in the middle of the testing and stuff, and I still kind of testing it. But assuming that stuff works well, yeah, I think it'll be the best battery pack out there. Larger capacity, faster recharging, plus some bonuses like not one but 2 USB ports to charge your phone or a Wi-Fi hotspot or something too. So it seems nice. I do wish it was just a little bit shorter though, so I could maybe swap out some of my batteries with these. I'm thinking of maybe leaving them there and then doing like a VFO A129 Pro up front and then hooking it up to one of those batteries. So I got to find a spot for that. How do you charge it in the house with a wall charger? That's a good question. The way that works usually is here. I have one of these things. It's like an AC to cigarette lighter adapter. So I keep these around the office just so. Plug it into the wall, and it has like a cigarette lighter adapter like this. And then you use kind of its cigarette lighter power input to charge off your wall at home. That's usually how that works. So you just unplug the hard wire into wherever, and you plug in the cigarette lighter into this. So that's how that works if you're parked in your garage or something like that. I've been getting some questions recently about like long-term parking recording, and especially during the pandemic, maybe you're not driving as much or something. You need a way to charge without driving a ton. So that could be an option. Let's see, music streaming. Have you made any contact with your friends at Redenso? Yeah, I mean, we talk from time to time. I talk to people at different companies. Nothing really to share, but I mean, they're going through stuff, so. Dude, man, bro, that's the exact setup I'm going to get. BI750 with the VFO A129 Pro Duo. Yeah, that seems to be a great combination. You can get it with the hardwire cable, and that way you can use it with this. Just 3-wire hardwire cable, wire it in, and that seems to work fine. I did notice some weird issues with the VFO and testing that doesn't apply to normal driving, just how the wires work and what you need to do to turn on the dash cams in parking mode. But anyway, weird stuff you find in testing that doesn't apply in normal life. Dude, man, I'm going to use a cigarette lighter since I switch cars a bunch. Totally. That's going to be the easiest solution is just plug it in there. You don't have to worry about all the hardwire stuff. It charges slower. I think you're going to get a max of like 4 or 5 amps instead of 12. So it is going to take longer to record or to fully recharge, but that's going to be true of really any battery pack. Appreciate the info. Thanks. Yeah. Thank you, dude, man. Kevin, Escort 360C. Do you have a jammer? So that I'm going to be covering in my best dash cams video. There's for the Escort Max 360C or Redline 360C, they have the ZR5 and the ZW5. One's wireless, one's wired. There's pros and cons, I guess, to each. But you could really run it with any laser jammer. You could run it with an ALP or something. I mean, you don't have to get the one that integrates with the Escort unless you want like the radar detector's display to be your controller and all that kind of stuff. So there's maybe reasons to do that, but I go into a lot more detail on my upcoming laser jammer video. So keep an eye on that. Panzer platform. What about adding a solar panel? Looks like somebody's calling. Spam call. Decline. What about adding a solar panel to extend dash cam parking mode? So I've experimented with that. I had an Anchor solar panel. I tried some Blackviews and some VFOs with the USB power input. Usually those output to USB, so you're going to need something like, where is it? One of these things, like, stop calling. Turn this off. So USB to cigarette lighter adapter. Usually you might need something like this if the dash cam isn't like a VFO that runs off USB. Long story short, I haven't found it to work. There's weird things to where, like, if it's kind of cloudy, it kind of cuts in and out. It doesn't reliably output enough power to run your dash cam straight through. It also doesn't output enough power to recharge battery packs and like trickle charge it or anything. Those things, I mean, we were just talking about 5 amps, 6 amps, 12 amps, maybe, say 5 or 6. Those things are usually putting out like maybe half an amp, maybe 1 or 2 amps. I think some of them can do maybe 2.5 amps or something, but not enough to like truly recharge a battery pack. So I've experimented. Maybe some other battery packs or some other solar panels could work, but I haven't found a solution that works well. It causes issues with like low current issues to the dash cam, and it doesn't recharge the battery packs if you want to put it in between the solar panel and the dash cam. So you can experiment with it. Let me know if you find a combination that works, but I haven't had good luck with it so far. Let's see, Naruto. I was thinking about getting the Redline 360C, but they're out of stock. They're expensive. Yeah, they are expensive. And they're out of stock. That was kind of what we talked about at the beginning of the video with the supply chain issues due to COVID. So hopefully that starts to kind of get better here moving into 2021. Scott's video, is the Redline 360C worth the extra $250 over the V1 Gen 2? It's not a good bang for the buck. It's that's Escort's thing. You're kind of going for the convenience. You're not going for a good bang for the buck with a lot of their products. I mean, it's nice for the plug and play. I did a video on it recently, like what radar detectors do I run? And I run the Redline 360C over the V1 Gen 2, but that's more issues of things like I don't use an Android day to day. I don't like really the iPhone apps as much as what I can get on Android. And it's just, if I'm taking my daughter to daycare, if I'm going to the grocery store, we're going to the park or going to get gas or whatever, I just want to get in and drive. The Redline 360C, you get in, good performance. BSM filtering is good. It updates itself every Monday when there's a new database, so I don't have to take the detector back home. Just updates in the car for me, which is kind of nice. MRCD apparently doesn't work well, but I don't have that here, so I don't need it. V1 to Gen 2 doesn't have it, so I prefer the Redline 360C, but if you run an Android and you're cool with all the JBV1 stuff, go that route. So both good detectors. It's kind of, I guess, looking at the pros and cons and figuring out what's best for you, which is, I guess, true of anything, you know. SJ Francis 3, in your video, you said you really like to know the frequency of the radar in addition to the band. How does that help you? That would be a fun topic to do. It's kind of one of the advanced topics. You can kind of ID the radar gun. A lot of times from the frequency, you can know the manufacturer. B3s, so MPH guns are 33.8, Stalkers are 34.7, Decatur and Custom are 35.5. If I know that, then I'm going to know the capabilities of the radar gun. Some of them are a bit limited in same lane detection. Some of them, the fastest mode can't clock more than like 2-3 cars away. So I kind of know some of the limitations of the police officer's gun. I'll know, like, I picked up 33.8 this morning. I posted that on Instagram and stuff. That was Washington State Patrol, just in a parking lot with a customer. Based on the frequency, I know they're using the B3. I know that's a Washington State Patrol gun here. If they're using 34.7, that could be WSP, but it's probably local police. So I kind of have an idea of, like, is that on the highway? Is it on the city streets? I kind of just, I get some additional information. I can know, is their gun out of tune? Has it been calibrated recently, potentially? That could be something nice to know. You just kind of get a bunch of additional information that you don't know just from its KA band. It's probably an officer, or K band is 24.168. That's probably a Jeep or an Acura. 24.198, probably BSM. 24.124, is there a Mazda CX-5 up ahead of me? So you can kind of start to ID stuff, even though police can use those same frequencies. That's going to help for additional classification of maybe filtering out false alerts from BSMs and stuff. So it just gives you a lot more information on what's going on around you, not just, if radar detectors only beeped when it was legitimate and they were totally silent otherwise, I don't know how much that would matter. Maybe some of the radar gun classification stuff, that's cool. But it just gives you a bunch of extra information to help more positively determine, is it legitimate or not? What police department are you detecting? Where are they? What are their capabilities? Things like that. So, yeah. What's spicy? Ooh. Tim, just did the December update for the V1 Gen 2, getting better with every update. Good. That one seems to really have addressed a lot of the BSM stuff. I know 21 kind of broke BSM filtering, and this new one, 23, seems to have addressed it. So I'm glad to hear that it's been working better for you. Let's see. Panzer, thanks again for the giveaway blowout. Just entered again today. Great. Yeah, good. Good luck as well. Hopefully you can get some more dash cams for your Panzer. Let's see. Dude Man Bro, any new updates for companies coming out with the 360 dash cam setup? I know they're exploring it, but nothing concrete yet. I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen a good way to do that. I see them from time to time, but like the quality is not quite there or something. I think that's a cool idea, but you run into weird quirks with image quality or where it records or how it's mounted and flare and all this kind of stuff. So I don't know. I mean, I've seen some Kickstarter ones that I don't know if they've come out yet or even if they will. But yeah, it's a cool idea. I just do my solution of 4 dash cams pointed in different directions, and that's the way that I found works best. Excuse me. And a lot of times works better to like record out the back and stuff than maybe a dash cam on the windshield that's trying to record out the back. The Nextbase one actually did a fairly good job of recording in the rear from the windshield dash cam. It has like a telephoto dash cam that points out the rear window. That worked better than I expected. So there's kind of ways to do it, but that's a telephoto out the rear window, not a 360-degree wide angle trying to see way out to the rear window. So many ways to approach all this stuff, I guess. Joel Parker, I haven't seen WSP shooting laser much this weird year. Saw it for the first time in months yesterday. Oh, where'd you get shot? I haven't seen it much either. I've been seeing mostly radar, but yeah, I haven't seen as much laser. I get shot with lasers so rarely. It's so much more radar, at least where I drive. Dude, man, that's what I meant, the 4-channel setup. Yeah, totally. Oh, the Narrows Bridge down in Tacoma. Okay, yeah, I don't usually go down there. But that makes sense that they're shooting it there. I guess maybe one of the main things I see it is some city streets are like I-5 and 405 at the top. Sometimes I'll see it right there. But yeah, I guess Tacoma Narrows Bridge, that would make sense too. Eric, the frequency video sounds great. Definitely interested in more technical topics. Me too. Some of that kind of stuff is fun. I like getting into some of the more advanced topics, some of the more interesting things, not just the which radar detector should I buy? And, like it's fun to get in some of the more like advanced things that don't necessarily get into always, but that's a lot of fun. It's been on my to-do list forever. And I hope as I can kind of start to speed up my video creation process, I can get through this stuff faster, because I agree it's on the list. That's a fun one. Let's see. I can't figure out how to update the firmware on the rear cameras for the A129 Plus. Is it a separate firmware file for that? I haven't tried updating mine yet, but I think I don't know if it's packaged with the front dash camera file or if it's like a separate one. Kyle Dickey, any plans to do a TMG VPR head test? Let's talk that real quick. Okay. All right, so TMG VPR. Yeah, I had a TMG non-VPR, an original one. And shout out to Jag42 if you're still on here. So my TMG died on me. I think one of the heads died and it fried the CPU. Jared, Jag42, was kind enough to send me a replacement CPU, the VPR version now, along with some brand new heads. Because my heads fried themselves, I've got some of the regular heads now, and I have a new VPR head. I'm not going to be able to go in and get this stuff installed until the pandemic kind of winds down and I drive back to Oregon to Musicar and have them do a couple things to my car. I want them to swap out for the VPR. I want to get a Thea power cable run. I want to get a new dash cam installed, some battery packs, some new USB ports for expansion. I've got a list of stuff that I want to do. So I'm kind of waiting for that to come up, and then I can start calling in favors to be like, hey, I need some more stalkers and Dragon Eyes and True Speed guns and that kind of stuff to do a good test and have people all around safely and all that. So I kind of want to wait for the pandemic to run down, and that'll probably be maybe summertime when the weather's better. It's been raining a lot here, so it's not great testing weather, but I'm hoping summertime, vaccine kicks in, we're able to test safely, and the weather's good, then yeah, I'd like to do it. Something that Jag42 told me that I completely forgot is like, whoops, I wanted to plug this in because the laser jammer video that I was working on, I wanted to kind of demo stuff on video. I plugged this into my existing heads and it fried my VPR CPU. I was like, whoops, I needed to swap out the heads as well because it wasn't just the CPU that died. It was the heads that died and fried the CPU. And when I plugged it back into the VPR CPU, it fried this. I'm like, oh, man, so now I got to get this replaced again. And so I'm not, I guess, super excited about the reliability. I hear the Gen 2 heads are more reliable than the Gen 1. So I really hope that's the case. See you, Panzer. Good to see you. So yeah, eventually I want to get it swapped out, and I'd like to do an update for the TMG VPR. So there's been a bunch of testing and stuff already on the forums. Some issues. I mean, it seems like an improvement in some ways. There's still some issues with Dragon Eye guns, of course. If they don't have the algorithms for it, they don't jam as reliably for the ones that do. Depending on which LTI guns are in use, even with the VPR guns, it may struggle inside of 500 to 600 feet to jam. There's a variety of different stuff going on with different manufacturers, things that are changing. And TMG, I think, is kind of struggling with acquiring the guns and making sure that they have the algorithms to jam these guns. And so that's, I think, a big thing that they need is better obtaining the guns. That's a difficult thing. ALP does the best there, and their technology is more advanced, and so they do a better job. But the TMG VPR, I'm just glad to see another option out there. Competition is good for us, and even if it's not as good as the ALP, it's nice to have a more affordable option with its own pros and cons compared to anything else. I also want to get some stinger testing, and if any of you guys want to do some laser jammer testing and you have the guns and the expertise and the time, reach out to me, maybe on the forums or something. I just, my Stinger fibers, they plug into the Stinger VIP radar detector. And so I just recently ordered the, like one of the standalone controllers so that I can take my fiber jammers and run them standalone. It doesn't have to plug into a VIP. And I want to have some other people test it as well. So maybe PY004 on the forums, for example, or some of the other guys who test regularly. I want to get it basically set up to test standalone. So you guys are able to test the Stinger fibers too. So basically getting more testing done. So if you want to do that, let me know. But yeah, so that's, I mean, just more testing coming up. But I guess coming back to the question, I'd like to test maybe this coming summer. I know there's going to be a new adaptive laser jammer. They've got the motorcycle one. They're working on a car version of the jammer as well. Maybe if that's out by then, I have no idea on the ETA. Throw that into the mix. So I don't know. Different jammers. Maybe summertime. Joel, I still get K-band once in a while on Washington. Me too. I know they use it in Kirkland and Issaquah. I saw it in Everett. Some Washington State Patrol uses it on the highways, but they're mostly KA. There's a couple small towns that run K-band still, so it's mostly KA, but yeah, there is still some K-band in use. John, about the R3, it's a Christmas gift, and in 1 6-hour round trip, it saved me twice. They are awesome. Kevin, I noticed the police are shooting radar on the other side of the hills when you come up over the top. That's a common thing, yeah, trying to shoot as you crest a hill and boom. That way to maybe like visually hide, that kind of stuff, and maybe instant on, maybe constant on, but instant on too. Yeah, that's a common thing for police trying to hide and kind of get you without you seeing them, you know. Luckily, radar detectors can pick them up over a hill. Radar guns cannot, by the way. Radar guns have to be line of sight. Radar detectors are able somewhat to see over hills and around bends and stuff too. So that extent is kind of to our advantage. Music streaming. You mentioned a Thea power cable. I know we were looking to hear something about Thea. Yeah, so in that sense, I just mean the fact that it's going to use a USB Type-C power cable, not the RJ11. And so I just want to get like a USB-C hardwire cable run up by my rearview mirror. So because that's where I run my radar detectors. So that way I can just kind of run Thea up high by my rearview mirror and give it its own power cable and not have to snake something down to the cigarette lighter. So that's all that is. I know they were talking about also kind of getting their own power cable with like a remote mute button or something. So maybe I could figure out where I could wire that in. I've got some stuff built in for the ALP and the Maxi i360. Be kind of cool if I could wire that in somewhere as well. Find another button and tie it into my car. Music car. Maybe you guys can help me out with that again. But yeah, so it's basically just a USB Type-C hardwire cable so I can run Thea by the rearview mirror. That's all I meant there. Question was answered. Yeah. Let's see. And also, for you guys, I know there's a lot of questions that go by. I'm not able to answer everybody. If you use the super chat thing, that will actually make it flash on my screen and I'll be able to see it. And it also does support me, but that's just a thing. If you really want a question answered, that's an option for you just to make sure that I see it here. I'll prioritize it more. Kevin, R3, is that an Escort 360C? No, the R3, that's a Uniden model. It's a different detector. Different manufacturer, different detector. There's the Escort Redline 360C and the Max 360C. Big Mo, do you plan on getting the COVID vaccine? Totally. Some of my wife's sister and her husband are both doctors. They've gotten it already down in Florida, which was really cool. So I'm grateful for them. So things seem to be going pretty well so far. So yeah, definitely. As soon as it's available, I'm grateful that I'm healthy and young enough to where I don't need to get one immediately. And so we can prioritize, you know, older people and higher risk and that kind of stuff. So I'm grateful that I don't need it soon, but when I'm available and it's my turn, definitely. Let's see. John Harrimal, I have the same question as Tim. K-band still in use around South Dakota and North Dakota? I don't know off the top of my head. You can always post on the forums and get some answers from people who also drive or live in those areas. I know there's not a ton of people from South Dakota, so I don't know that area very well. But yeah, you can post on the forums and get some better local specific information from people. I live in Seattle, you know, so yeah, just head over to the forums. They can help you with that. Or maybe even somebody in the chat can help you with that in the meantime. Hey, what's up? Backwards. Testing aside, what's your current detector of choice for running to the store for groceries? Redline 360C. Yeah, just put it in the car. I don't have to think about it. Update every now and then. Performance is fine. BSM filtering's fine. Yeah, Happy New Year. The V1 is a bit of a hassle. with the phone stuff. The R7, I'm just not a fan of the BSM filtering stuff. The mount, sometimes the suction cups like to fall more than other detectors. So the blend mount, I think, would be more necessary for that. I've kind of been playing around with some of the remotes lately. Maxi i360, RCM, and Stinger. The Stinger falses a lot. I haven't run it in a while, but I've been running it the past couple days. That detector falses a ton. It's crazy. Way more than the Redenso or the Escort solution. So custom installed, I guess I would run the Escort. I like the Redenso as well, but I like having the accurate frequency display. The auto lockouts are nice for Escort, but it's annoying to have to keep launching the app on my phone to get the speed limit and the cloud stuff. So it's kind of annoying. I really wish the Max CI had Wi-Fi built in. It would make a ton of sense for that platform. So hopefully they can add that in either as an add-on accessory or I don't know, maybe the next version or something would have it. But I really wish it had Wi-Fi to get all the cloud stuff for the Max CI. I don't like running it on the phone anymore. Joel, what was that a custom enclosure for the Redenso and the Escort displays that you posted today? Yeah. So that photo that I posted on social media, that's a custom enclosure. The guys in Musicar Northwest in Portland, I took my car there to have all the equipment installed, and they did a fair amount of custom work. I've got a video called like building the ultimate radar detector or something, and that would actually show you how all that stuff was done if you want to check it out. But yeah, that's completely custom for my car. So. Oh, thank you, Tim. I appreciate that super chat donation. Keep it up. Yeah, the weightlifting pair. I feel like that's the pandemic with working out while you're getting fat here. So, yeah, totally. F. Sugrado. Do you know why companies stopped selling the Snap and Go power adapters for dash cams? What is that? I'm not really familiar with that accessory. How does that work? Sounds like it could be useful. I don't know. But yeah, let me know how that works. Kevin, when are your shirts with the YouTube link shirts going to be available? I have them already. I took it down for a little while. Here, I can just post it in the chat. Listings. It should be able to like show up on the YouTube videos, but I took it down for a little while. I can put it back up now that I'm like starting to wear it more. But let's see. Let's find this real quick. Boom. I think it's this. Okay, so I'll post it in the chat now. There. So that's the link for it. I can add it back to the videos later. I've kind of been playing with that to be like, I like that stuff, but sometimes it gets kind of in the way and it blocks all the other stuff with like where you go for the radar detectors or other things I want to talk about. So I feel like the YouTube banner is a little bit intrusive. Which is the reason that I took it down. But I think on some videos it makes sense to like have links to the t-shirts and stuff. And by the way, I bought like a whole bunch of them and like different fabrics and stuff. Get the one with like the comfort or the really nice tri-blend or something. The nice fabric really does make a difference. That's why I kind of wind up wearing like the ones with the nice fabric. So yeah, those ones are good. And there's different colors and sizes and stuff too, of course. But yeah, thank you. You're welcome. It's fun. Let's see. So what else? K-band in Washington. I know we were talking about that. Glenn, in Northern Arizona, I got stopped by a state trooper using the old K-band radar. Got off with just a warning. Have you seen this trend anywhere else? I didn't pay attention because I never see the K-band. Yeah, there's places that definitely still use K-band. It's getting phased out of a lot of places just because Ka-band antennas are smaller. But there are new K-band guns that are coming out that have kind of redesigned antennas that are smaller and lower power and stuff. So a lot of officers are switching to Ka-band, but there's still some, maybe with older gear or even some of the newer ones, that still use K-band. So that's something to keep an eye out for. It would be nice, of course, to be able to shut off K-band, but you run into that exact risk of running into an officer who's still using it and getting pulled over. So yeah, I guess that's a big thing of why detectors really need good filtering, because otherwise, just like you said, we wind up ignoring it. Let's see. Scrolling up a little bit. George Lopez, or Jorge, I don't know how you pronounce it. How do I stop K-band from the unit in R7? I can't stop it from picking up K-band from stores. Yes, so door openers transmit on K-band that cause your detectors to false. There's always low-speed muting to keep it quiet in parking lots, but the main thing is just using the GPS lockouts. If you press the mute button on the side of the detector twice, that will teach it that this is a false alert. And that way it's just kind of muted every time you come by and see this next door opener. It'll mute it for you again. Low speed muting is great, but that doesn't work if you're driving on city streets and there's like a shopping center next to you. So you're also going to want to use the lockouts to teach it independent of your speed, this location, this frequency, it's false alert. That's kind of where the auto lockout stuff that we've been talking about at the beginning comes into play, where eventually, yes, the detector can learn that stuff for you automatically, like the escorts can do. But yeah, right now it's going to be manual. You're going to have to just double press the mute button on the side of the detector. Let's see, I'll grab mine. It's a little bit awkward on the Unidens. This button right here, I mean, I guess you get used to it just kind of doing like this instead of like double pressing the top or the front like the R3 or something. I'm not a huge fan of the side placement, but I guess kind of once you get into it, it's not that big of a deal. So, Joel, I've seen some discussion on RDF about K-band making a comeback in some places, particularly because the units are cheaper. I get annoyed at people saying how we need to only care about KA. Yeah, some of the guns like the Stalker Patrol, some of the more affordable guns are actually running K-band. And so for departments that are more budget constrained, they may actually want to opt for that. They're simpler guns. The display is simpler. The capabilities are simpler. But if you're on a budget, yeah, you can get more guns. You can make that money back quicker. So there are some departments that are now purchasing K-band. K-band is not necessarily old and out of date. I wish it was, but it's definitely still around. SJ Francis 3, Unit and R9 update. We mentioned that briefly at the beginning of the video, but I think it's just delayed due to COVID, to be honest. I have no idea on the ETA or any of that kind of stuff. So at this point, I feel like my expectations are kind of out the window. COVID just knocked all of my ideas of time frames. I don't know how much stuff is going to get canceled. I do know of some detectors that were going to be released that got canceled. Hopefully they'll maybe get re-implemented. It's interesting, some of the behind the scenes stuff on how that works without going into too much of that. But yeah. Let's see. Tim, GPS lockouts is why Mike doesn't have it. His argument about officers can sit there knowing this and you're not vulnerable. I think that argument's a little BS. Like, I completely get what he's saying. And if GPS lockouts are implemented very simply, yes, you can lock out a police officer. Totally. I think the real reason for Mike V's kind of resistance to GPS lockouts is the patent limitations. It was owned by a patent troll for a while, and Escort and K40 and a lot of others had to deal with legal issues, and that patent troll would go after distributors who sold detectors that had GPS. And so it was a big issue that, since it's been a big mess at this point, now Escort owns the patents. They sued Uniden. They've since settled, so they're working it out. Like, it's a big legal mess. So a lot of times it's easier to just write it off and say, oh, well, it has the potential to lock out a police officer, and so I'm just not going to do it. And you're like, well, yeah, that's true. But then you wind up having a detector that cries wolf all the time. So my opinion is, like, look at something like JBV1 or YAV1 or V1 Driver. Do a little bit more sophisticated implementation of GPS lockouts, and you can really mitigate the risk of accidentally locking out a police officer while simultaneously keeping the detector super quiet against a lot of those false alerts. So that's where I think the best balance is. But again, you run into potential legal issues with patents and all the licensing stuff that you have. So, but yes, officially, I know his argument is about it could potentially lock out a police officer, and that's true, but I think a little overly simplistic and not necessarily the whole truth. Backwards, they've come out with cheaper radar gun systems that are K-band. I believe the lower price point on them is why I'm seeing them more often. They usually have fewer software features. Yeah, exactly. I think the Stalker Patrol is a good feature or a good example of that. But yeah, I think I know MPH now has like their K-band B3s and stuff. They're going for like the smaller patch antennas and stuff. But yeah, there's more of that coming out, which I guess is probably one of the big appeals of Thea, is to be able to just know the difference and not have to deal with a lot of the false alerts on K-band. And regardless of what gun they're using, it's a legitimate radar gun and doesn't false to BSM. So very hopeful for that, because none of the other detectors have really been able to do that holy grail of being accurate and alerting to police radar and not falsing. Let's see, the Chad. How soon before the police start using a new frequency of radar, and will any of the current radar detectors be able to update to detect the new frequency? Would you need a whole new detector? So that's an interesting question. Police could switch to a completely different frequency, but there's not really much of a benefit to them. And radar gun manufacturers would have to re-engineer all new stuff. I mean, there was a point where they did that when they switched from K-band to Ka to get smaller antennas, newer technology, not as impacted by rain and atmospheric issues. So there's benefits switching to Ka. But other than that, I don't know if there's really a big benefit to re-engineer everything to switch to like an even higher frequency antenna or something when Ka is working just fine already. If that happened, theoretically, sure, they would just come out with a new detector, just like they did with K-band radar detectors, had to add Ka-band support. So that's happened in the past. So yeah, detectors would have to update, but there's not really, I guess, a huge motivation for the radar gun manufacturers to do that. What we're seeing more now is kind of things with like frequency modulation, lower power stuff, different polarization, operating on K-band to try and reduce the detection range. So even if a detector can detect it, like on K-band, you need a more sensitive detector that can tell the difference between some different modulated threats. So that seems to be kind of where things are headed nowadays, more so than just changing the frequency altogether. So your Redflex, your GATSO, multi-radar CD, CT, mesh diffusion, et cetera. A lot of those, they're K-band. Just lower powered and more difficult to detect, but still technically K-band. Tom, hope the family and hope the family's doing well. Great 2021. Yeah, good to see you. Happy New Year's to your family as well, Tom. Let's see. With Thea, as long as the detector horns can see the new frequencies, it'll be able to see it. Yeah, I know they've talked about some interesting stuff with like they could apply their same AI stuff to detect Wi-Fi if they wanted. They can do all sorts of crazy stuff. But yeah, their detector is obviously optimized for XK and Ka, even more so K and Ka. Backwards, using the V1 Gen 2 currently with V1 Driver, and it's working very well at having the app lock out stationary falses. I would say that with the app, it's as effective as an escort with auto learn. In my opinion, I think it's even better. I know DC Fluid was doing some testing recently with the Max 3 and finding some issues with their implementation of lockouts on that detector, and it's been interesting to see Escort's GPS lockout implementation vary between detector. Some are better than others. It's very weird, stuff we find out by testing. I know he's posted that on the forums, but V1 Driver and all that kind of stuff, it can tell individual signals. So if there's two signals in one location within the same frequency range, V1 Driver will actually alert you to that new signal. Escort will mute all the signals in the frequency range. They both do auto unlearn. I like that V1 Driver doesn't give you the stupid high-pitched beep that you get with the Escorts. When an Escort stores a false, it goes like beep, but like super ear-piercingly loud. I have no idea why, but that applies to all their detectors. Escort, if you're watching this, can you lower the volume of the stored signal when it learns and locks out a signal? There's no reason for that to be super high-pitched and way louder than even normal traditional radar alerts. I feel like it doesn't pay attention to your normal radar alert volume or something, but it's really loud and ear-piercing. So if you could just bring that down a little bit, that would be great. Thank you. G Majors, what's your ideal detector and what would it look like and what features? I did a video on that a couple years ago, and I think it's still pretty true. Things like long-range performance, got to have that, and good reactivity. Be able to catch quick trigger. I think a lot of the stuff that we're seeing nowadays is K-band. The BSM filtering has to be on point. I know we talked earlier, somebody mentioned they got a ticket because they were ignoring K-band, and K-band is still in use. And so ideally, perfect BSM filtering, which is what the promise is of Thea, and we'll have to see if it lives up to that expectation. But being able to accurately differentiate legitimate police radar from door openers and speed signs and BSMs, especially, being able to do that, got to do that. Things like automatic updates, I really like it with the Escorts. I think that's great. The cloud stuff is cool, I guess. Maybe a detector that can automatically reprogram itself as you drive. But I think one of the things, coming back to Thea again, you can turn everything on. If it doesn't false, it'll alert you to just if X-band shows up or K-band in your area one day, it'll detect it. Otherwise, it stays quiet. So yeah, open API, open source would be great so we can customize it. All that kind of stuff. That's kind of what I'm looking for. I like windshield mounts, but I know a lot of people might prefer the custom installed. I'm totally open to custom installed, but good BSM filtering, good range, good reactivity, and kind of more automation, and arrows, of course, and stealth. That's kind of what I'm looking for. Music streaming. Thank you for the super chat donation. I appreciate that. Okay, so this is a great question. It's something I've been thinking about doing a video on, but I've kind of tossed this exact thing into several videos. And your question is,
Got a Max 360C, and in your opinion, is it worth upgrading to the Redline 360C, and can you do an actual comparison video? 3 main differences: longer range, better BSM filtering, RDD immunity. There you go. Different case design, different arrow layout. Okay, sure. I think the MRCD actually works better on the Max 360C. So, okay, maybe that's a difference too. Hopefully Escort fixed that with the Redline. But if you're happy with the Max 360C, if you find you're like, I got plenty of range, I don't need longer range in the situations that you drive, and you're happy with the BSM filtering, just stay with what you got. It works fine. If you don't need a stealth detector, you don't need the RDD immunity, that's not going to be a big advantage. If you want to trade it, sure, by all means. Maybe skip Escort's trade-in thing. They give you, is it like $130 or something? Like a little bit of money. I know you paid obviously way more for the Max 360C. Sell it yourself. You'll get a lot more if you want to swap out and do the upgrade. But for convenience, you can always, of course, just trade it into Escort. Just be aware you're going to get less than if you sell it yourself. But otherwise, if you want longer range or better BSM filtering, that's the main advantage. Yeah, I've been thinking about making a video on that too, but yeah, I guess that's it. SJ Francis, keep up the great work in this community and thank you. You're welcome. Yeah, I'm just glad this is helpful. It's fun to hang out at home and just talk about radar detectors and dash cams and how all this kind of stuff works. I know there's not a ton of great resources that are available. There's some, but not a ton. So it's nice to be able to just kind of give you guys more. Scott, does JBV1 lock out the offending false signal plus minus 5 megahertz? So the new K-band signal would cover the alert in the exact same area. Every app does GPS lockouts a little bit differently. I don't remember. Here, I'll just pull it up. The exact frequency range. It might be like 8 megahertz. It might be plus minus 5 megahertz. I know there's been a lot of testing with figuring out the ideal frequency range and how much do frequencies vary over time, and they can change due to temperature. So there's been some testing to kind of like figure out what is the optimal amount. I'll look it up here. Let's see. Lockouts, pulling it up. Advanced. Okay, yeah, 8 megahertz. So frequency tolerance right now for JBV1, the default is 8 megahertz. At least I believe it is. Yeah. You can set it to 5 if you want, but then you wind up risking maybe if frequency changes too much, signals that used to be locked out maybe no longer are, and it has to kind of go back into weird stuff. So I think usually I wind up leaving to whatever the developer recommends for that kind of stuff. But I guess coming back into it, that's one of the things that I really like about the apps over any radar detector. Escort, Redenso, Uniden, Stinger, anybody. They do a better job of looking at individual signals. So if you have 2 signals within the same frequency range in the same location, the apps will alert you to that new signal. The radar detectors will mute them. I had a situation the other day with the Max CI 360 where it locked out or was showing a locked out Mazda BSM false because there was a door opener nearby and it was incorrectly locking out a Mazda BSM false that was on a similar frequency range. And I was like, oh, that was interesting to see. I didn't get it on camera, I don't think, unfortunately, but yeah, so that can happen. And I like having a little bit more sophisticated implementation of GPS lockouts. I mean, we talked earlier, the concern that Mike Valentine had with the lockouts. There you go. It happens. Police can be locked out too. Luckily, with police, radar guns are usually a lot more powerful than a door opener. And so door opener GPS lockout range might only be here, but then the radar gun's beam is going to travel to like way out here. So you're going to be picking up the signal well before you get to where the GPS lockout is located. So if you do wind up locking out the police officer, Escort's argument, which has a lot of truth to it, is you'll get the initial alert letting you know there's K-band ahead. And then if it locks out, it locks out. But at least you'll get the initial alert so that you can slow down. So it's not optimal, I guess. It's not ideal, but there is kind of that solution, if you will. Radar guns are more powerful than door openers, so you pick them up farther away. Get some water, all the talking. I'm also checking out the clock here. I'm going to have to head out pretty soon. I'm going to go pick up my daughter from daycare. And my mom's coming over, and we're going to spend New Year together. I'll be here. So probably going to have to wind down here in a bit. But keep going. We got time for a few more questions. This is fun. It's a nice, fun way to wrap up the end of the year, just hanging out with you guys, talking about radar detectors. John, are laser jammers typically straightforward to install? That can vary. Some cars are really hard to work on. Some grills have plenty of room, so you can easily attach them. For some cars, it's easier to like mount the jammers. Other ones, you have to fabricate custom mounts and stuff. Some cars, it's easier to run wires. Others are harder. My Hyundai and my Mazda were a lot easier to do. Excuse me. My Hyundai had a grommet, I believe, to where I could run the cable. My Mazda didn't, so I had to drill a hole. My Audi was a pain, so I definitely got that one professionally installed because German stuff, the tolerances are a lot tighter to run cables and fit things in. So it really depends. The Escort ZW5 is probably the easiest because you have minimal wiring there. A lot of the wireless stuff can be nice. I'll cover that in my upcoming laser jammer video. But a lot of it really comes down to your specific vehicle. It definitely varies. Some cars are easier than others. Los Angeles, Blinder HP 905 says they've upgraded their sensors for 2020. Do they really? Where do they say that? Could you post a link real quick? Because Blinder, I don't think that's been updated in years. Blinder guy, one of their main distributors, passed away a few years back, unfortunately. Blinder actually sells their latest jammers to Escort. The Shifter Max, the ZR5, ZW5, and all that. That's a Blinder unit that's sold under Escort's name. Like, because their main distributor is no longer available, they're actually like selling to Escorts. That's the new Blinder solution. That's an eBay retailer saying that. Yeah, Blinder hasn't been updated. I'm looking. I don't see anything new. It's still even old website and everything. Yeah. I sold mine a long time ago. No. Let's see. Official Keith in Texas finally upgraded from the X80 to the Max 360. Couldn't pass up that deal. That's a big upgrade. Congratulations on that. That's a really nice upgrade. So I hope you're enjoying arrows, better BSM filtering, MRCD support, digital detector. That's a nice upgrade. I'm curious also kind of what are the biggest things that you notice going from the X80 to the Max 360? Like, what are the biggest advantages, maybe disadvantages, but what are the biggest advantages that you notice? That's cool to hear. The founder of Blinder did pass away. His wife runs the company now and partnered with Escort. Escort Shifter Max systems are rebranded Blinder. Yep. John Joe P, thanks for doing the live stream. Always enjoy watching. Thanks for hanging out with me and spending your time just hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. The Escort laser jammers were originally LIs, right? ZR1, ZR2. No, so that was the Escort, what was it called? The LSP, the Laser Shifter Pro. Escort made their own laser jammers up for like the ZR3 and ZR4. I don't know about the ZR1 and ZR2. I don't know. Were those actual products or something? I don't know about those. But after the ZR4, they came out with the Laser Shifter Pro, which was basically a rebranded laser interceptor, and they just redid some of the wiring stuff. So if you plugged in the LI heads, they wouldn't work in the LSP. But if you change the wiring and crimped your own connector for the Ethernet cables, you get the LSP and plug in LI cable or LI heads. So that was kind of a funny thing. But yeah, they never received a single update from Laser Interceptor. Los Angeles Upholstery just got a new car. Would you recommend the ALP with the new red line? I think that's a great combination. That's what I run. I know I did a video recently of like what I run, and yeah, Redline 360C and ALP, it's a good solution. Is it the best for everybody? No. Is it perfect? Nope. None of the stuff is, but I think as far as the best that I like, that's what I tend to run, and I think a lot of other people would be happy with it too. Official Keith, so X80 to Max 360 follow-up. Biggest advantage was the filtering, night and day. I'll bet, yeah, going from the M4 to an the M6 or something, going with their DSP stuff. I'm glad to hear you've got a very clear like before and after result. So I'm glad to hear that. Thanks for the information that you provide to us. Happy New Year. You're welcome. Happy New Year to you as well. And thank you, Los Angeles Upholstery, for the super chat donation. I appreciate that. That's going to go into my fund to help pay for my video editor so I can focus on doing this kind of stuff with you guys. That's where all this stuff's going to go. So Joe John P. ALP is amazing. Definitely been running since 2014. Definitely would be great with the red line. Yeah, I've been running it for a while too. I know they just had the hardware 4 update and they got some newer heads and stuff. So it's nice to see some updates there. Ooga Booga 72. Any update on the Batman detector? No. I think they were what got me banned from posting reviews on Amazon because I'm a professional in the industry now. I'm not just a regular consumer. I was posting some of my reviews on Amazon and they got upset about it and complained to Amazon. And now I can't post any reviews on Amazon at all. period. I used to like do really big, in-depth, detailed reviews there, and they all got deleted. I got banned, so I can't do any of that kind of stuff. So that sucks. But if anybody's watching from Amazon and you can help me fix that so I can continue posting reviews, it would be nice. I get that I'm a professional, but it would be nice to be able to post my information there too. So, yeah. Life is funny. Hopefully people Googling it will find me on YouTube like this or my website. But yeah, it's funny. I saw something recently for, I think in Canada, one of the provinces, I thought it was the Rocky Mountain Radar. Timing-wise, I don't remember. I think that happened after the Batman detector stuff, not the Rocky Mountain Radar. The Rocky Mountain Radar, they just got mad and they did complain and stuff. But I don't think that's what got me banned from Amazon. I think it was the Batman detector stuff. But yeah, as far as the Batman stuff, maybe one of the last ones that we'll cover before I need to go here. Let's see. Almost there. It's reminding me to stand up. What was it? They confiscated some detectors in Canada, one of the provinces. I think it was like a 9500 IX and a couple of the really low end like Batman detectors and stuff. And they were like, yeah, radar detectors are illegal. We've confiscated them. And I was like, well, I'm kind of glad the Batman detectors are off the road, but hopefully people upgrade to something better. I don't know, but which is kind of funny to see those in the news like that. Yeah, well, they're not stealth. They're detectable. And there you go. But anyway, I probably need to head out, go pick up my daughter from daycare, check on my wife. She's a little sick right now, so hopefully she's feeling better. And kind of get back to it. So Happy New Year to you all. Thank you so much for spending the tail end of 2020 or even early 2021, depending on when you're watching this, with all of you guys. So I really, really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I love doing what I do regardless, just this is fun for me, but being able to just have the extra element of hanging out with you guys in my free time like this, I love this. Apparently you guys do as well. Thank you, Clint, for the super chat donation. Happy New Year from the East Coast. Yeah, Happy New Year to all of you guys. I hope you have an awesome 2021. Definitely better than 2020. The bar is right here for 2020, so hopefully 2021 can get better than that. So I hope you guys are doing amazing. Best wishes to you guys, to your families. Yeah, so all right. Take care, and I'll see you guys later.